In this tutorial, we will have a look how we can create a simple menu system. If I click on this volume, as you can see volume menu loaded up, and if we click on this back button, we can go back to main menu, and if we click on this play button, we can play our game. Okay, so without furthering delay, let's dive into this topic. Okay, as you can see, I have opened up an project, and we have our main camera, and we also have sample scene you can call level 1, and this is our menu scene. Okay, we are ready to create our menu. Before we create that, we need to create a canvas. Okay, into that canvas we need to place all of the UI elements like buttons, icons, text, images, all of those things will goes into our canvas. Okay, so in order to create the canvas, you need to move over to hierarchy or hit this plus icon or right click, then go to UI and select this canvas. Okay, select this canvas and select this canvas, and if to focus on it, so this is our canvas. Okay, and we need to place right over here buttons, icon, text, all of those things. Okay, so before we do that, let's go over to inspector and scroll to the bottom side, says canvas scaler, and it says UI scale mode to constant pixel size. So what we need to select scale with screen size, so our canvas will scale down or scale up according to our screen size. Okay, so we're gonna put in the X something like 1920 and in the Y 1080, and after doing that, what we're gonna do, we're gonna create an empty game object, and we're gonna call it something like menu. Basically, we will create game objects to separate our logic. We will create two. One will be the menu and other one will be the volume menu. Okay, so right click on this canvas, then go to create empty. Okay, create empty game object, and let's call this game object something like menu to separate all of the logics. And what we have to do, select this menu, go over to inspector, then rect transform, click right over here and hold down all on your keyboard and select bottom at right one. Okay, so as you can see now this menu, okay, this menu right over here get resized as the size of our canvas, and if we try to scale down our screen or scale up, this menu will be scaled down or up with our screen. Okay, and let's create an empty background game object something like image. Okay, and we will call it background to change the color. So right click on this canvas, then go to UI and select this image, and okay, and select this image and drag it top of as a child game object in canvas. Okay, and let's call this one image to something like a background. uh, let's call it background. Okay, background, and go over to rect transform, then go click on this, hold down alt on your keyboard and select this bottom right one. Okay, as you can see, indeed it just resized with our canvas. Now if we try to scale down or up, we can see the background as well scale getting scaled down, basically getting resized, okay, according to our screen size. So that is the thing. So I'm gonna select this ground and let's choose another color. So let's go to image component and color fill, click on it, and let's choose a color something like this one. This one seems pretty good to me, so I'm gonna go with this. Okay, so once you are done, so we have background and we have menu. Okay, and what we want to do in menu, we will create three buttons. One will be the play, second one will be the volume, and the third one will be the quit. Okay, something like that. So right click on this menu game object, then go to UI and scroll bottom, says legacy, and then choose this button. Okay, button, and now let's resize this button. So hold down alt on your keyboard, so it will resize from center as you can see, and let's increase the text inside of that button. Before we do that, let's call this button something like play button. Okay, so let's go to inspector here, let's call it play button. Okay, play button, and then go to text inside of that button and let's scale it up so we can see. So let's do it something like 80, and choose font style to bold. Okay, and we will choose another font. So let's click on this font. I will have a link in the description of all of this fonts, all of the sprites that I'm gonna use in this menu, okay, will be in the description, a link. So I'm gonna choose this first one, as you can see, and let's call it something like, instead of button, let's call it play. Okay, play. And then what we're gonna do, select this button, okay, go over to inspector and rect transform, click right over here and hold down all and select this bottom one. Okay, now if I try to scale down my screen or scale it up, we can able to see this play button is always staying in the bottom and it just resizing with our screen. So that's the thing. Okay, so I'm gonna select this button. I'm gonna drag it a little bit up, something like over here. Okay, over here. And what we want, I just want to change this basically background color of this play button. Okay, in order to change this, we need to go to image component and we have to drag the image right over here, or the sprite. So I'm gonna go to project tab, then assets. I have already all of them, so I'm gonna drag any of them. Okay, so I'm gonna go to UI, and if we click on this arrow, sorry, so what you need to do, you need to select this sprite, okay, and go over to inspector and select single to multiple, and after doing that, scroll to the bottom, click on apply, and then click on sprite editor and select slice in the top left, or automatic, leave it to automatic, and after doing that, click on slice and then apply right over here. And I'm gonna go to scene tab one more time and then click on this arrow right over here. Okay, so I'm gonna select this play button and gonna drag any of them. So I'm gonna drag this one. Okay, it's totally up to you. As you can see, indeed we change it our background of this play button. Okay, and I want to resize this, so hold down alt on your keyboard, so it will resize from center. Okay, something like this. So I'm gonna drag it a little bit up, and let's duplicate this button to make a volume button, which will be the which will redirect us to volume menu. Okay, so select this button, control D to duplicate, and let's drag it down right over here. Okay, and let's call this button to play button to something else. Let's call it volume button. Okay, and also let's change the text inside of inside of this button, says play. So let's click right over here, let's choose this text and let's call it something volume. Okay, and also let's duplicate this volume. We're gonna create one more button, which will be the quit button. So let's duplicate, so control D to duplicate, and let's drag this button down right over here, and let's call this button to something like quit button. Okay, so let's call it quit button. And also let's change the text inside of that button. Okay, so let's change the text something like quit. So we have now our menu scene. Okay, basically this menu. Okay, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna make a prefab of this menu, so we don't need to work from scratch. Okay, basically copy of this game object. So go over to project tab, then asset, and select this menu and drag it to that asset. So I already have created a prefab folder, so I'm gonna drag it right there. So I'm gonna select this menu. So firstly I'm gonna delete this one right over here, and now I'm gonna select this menu and drag it right there. Now it's turned to prefab. Now if I delete from the scene view, we can restore that. As you can see, it's gone, but we can restore that. So we have to select that prefab from that assets folder and drag it into that canvas. As you can see, indeed all of those things we get immediately. Okay, so we don't need to work from scratch. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna disable this instead, and now we will create a volume menu. So I'm gonna select this menu and go over to inspector and uncheck this to disable. Now let's create a volume menu. So go to inspector one more time, right click on it, create an empty game object, and let's call this game object to something like volume menu. Okay, volume menu, and go over to rect transform, click right over here, hold down Alt and select this bottom right one. Okay, and as you can see, it indeed get resized as the size of our canvas. And now right click on this volume menu, then go to UI and select this slider, and let's call this slider to something volume slider. Okay, volume slider. And then we have to resize this, so select this drag tool right over here and hold down Alt to resize from center like this. Okay, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to volume slider, then inspector, scroll down to the bottom, says value, let's increase this something like over here, and let's go to normal color. So I'm gonna go that, and let's choose a something, sorry, this is our handle. Instead we click on this volume slider and then go to black, sorry, background, and then click on this color field, and let's select something like black. Okay, and let's go to a channel and let's shrink it down to make the to make a little bit transparency, as you can see. And now let's go to handle side area, then click right over here, then select this handle, and let's resize this handle. Okay, so hold down Alt to resize from center like this. Okay, and now I'm gonna go to a volume slider, then value I'm gonna increase all the way up. So as you can see, this is our volume menu, and we also need to create a back button so we can back to that normal sorry, that menu scene, sorry, that menu. Okay, so in order to do that, right click on this volume menu, then go to UI and scroll to the bottom, says legacy, and then choose this button, and let's call this button to something like back button. Okay, back button, and let's drag it down. Let's select this move tool and let's drag it down, and let's scale this button. Okay, so select this drag tool right over here and scale it up, and hold down Alt to scale from center, and let's go to that button, then text, and let's increase the text. So let's set this font size to something like 80. Okay, and let's choose font style to bold, and we're gonna choose this font. Okay, and let's call instead of button something like back, and then let's also change the background of this button. So I'm gonna select this button, go over to image component, and then we need to drag the sprite right over here. So let's go to assets, then UI, and I have over here, so I'm gonna select this yellow and let's drag it right there. So as you can see, indeed it's changed it right away. Okay, and let's scale down or scale it up. Let's resize this button, so hold down Alt, so it will resize from center. So we have now volume menu as well as the menu. Okay, so also make sure you just make this one prefab, means copy of this game object. So I'm gonna go to assets, then prefab folder, let's select this volume menu and let's drag it right there. Okay, so I'm gonna delete this one. Okay, so we have volume menu and main menu. Okay, so I'm gonna disable this volume menu for now, and I'm gonna enable this menu. So let's enable, go to inspector, check this one. Okay, so what we gonna do, if we click on this volume button, we want to load that menu, volume menu. Okay, so in order to do that, select the let's go to menu and then select this volume button, and if we go to inspector and scroll down to the bottom line, okay, bottom, as you can see, on click. Okay, so over here what we have to do, we need to hit this plus icon and we need to drag the game object we want to set enable. So in our case, that volume menu, so let's select that and drag it right there, and then go it says no function, so click on it and select this game object, and then select this bottom, says set active bold. So what we want to active this one volume menu, so we will go to volume button, then scroll down and we will check this one to true. Basically we just enabling this volume menu, and what we need, and after doing that we need to set this menu, okay, this main menu disable after going to our volume menu. So hit this plus icon one more time and let's drag this menu right there, and we want this menu to disable once we go to that volume menu. Okay, so let's click on this game object and then select this set active bold, and we will uncheck it. Basically we disabling it. Okay, so now if we hit this play button in the top and goes to click on this volume button, we should able to see we will move over to volume menu directly. Okay, so just wait for to compile, and when it's done, check that. So now if we click on this volume button, as you can see, indeed our volume menu just get load up. And what we need to do now, if we click on this back button, we need to disable this volume menu and we need to active that main menu. So I'm gonna unplay this. Okay, so let's go to volume menu and then let's select this back button. Okay, and then go to inspector, scroll down to the bottom and hit this plus icon. So firstly we're gonna select this menu and let's drag it there, and we will say go to game object and set active, and we will check this one. Okay, basically we just enabling the menu, and after enabling this menu we need to disable this volume menu. Okay, so let's hit this plus icon one more time and let's select this volume menu and let's drag it right there, and let's go to game object and then said we're gonna untick. Basically we just disabling it. Okay, so now if we hit this play button in the top and try to do those things. Okay, if we click on this volume, we should go on that volume menu. Okay, so now if we click on this volume, as you can see we get in volume menu, and now if we click on this back button we should get reload that main menu and this volume menu will be disabled. So let's do that. Let's click on it. As you can see, indeed it's working. Okay, so I hope you get the idea of it. Now what we need to do, if we click on this play button, we need to play our game. Basically we need to load up level 1 or the simple scene as we seen. Okay, so I'm gonna unplay this. So for that we're gonna create a script, and that script gonna handle those things. So go to project tab, then assets, right click on assets, then create C# script and name it to something like scene management, and then select that script. Okay, so I already have created right over here in my scripts folder. Over here I have scene management, and select this script and drag it to basically attach this script to any game object of hierarchy of your hierarchy, or else what we're gonna do, we're gonna create a separate game object for that. So let's go to hierarchy, right click or hit this plus icon, then create an empty game object. Let's call it something like scene management. Okay, scene management, and let's reset the transform of that game object, and then let's select this scene management script and let's drag it to add component section. Okay, and let's double click that to open up in Visual Studio quickly. As you can see, indeed we have start and update function, so we don't need this function. Instead we're gonna use a public function. Okay, also these two namespaces. Instead what we need, if we want to work with scene, a scene basically load up any other scene, so we have to include this namespace. It's called using Unity engine. Okay, Unity engine dot scene management namespace. Scene management, make sure you just include that, or else you're not gonna able to do anything with scenes. And close that up with semicolon. And if we move to Unity and select move over to hierarchy, then canvas, then menu, and then play button, and go over to inspector and scroll down to the bottom, we can see on click. So basically what we need, we can call that function right over here. So we will create a function something like play function, and that function just gonna load up the game scene, which game scene we want to load up, or the level we want to load up. Okay, so let's go to script now, and so let's make it public so we can call this function right underneath on click event. Okay, that function. So let's go to script now and let's create a public void, and let's call it something like play level or play game, something like that, or play button you can call it as well, and make first bracket and some curly bracket. So what we want to do inside this function, we want to load up the level scene or which scene we want to go. So in our case the simple scene. So if we move to Unity and go over to file in the top left, then build settings. We can see the name of the scene, which is sample scene, and also you can see the build index of it in the right section, which is 0. So in order to load that scene or that level, what we need to use this function. It's called scene manager. Okay, scene manager dot load scene, and this function right over here will take the game scene you want in quotation. Okay, so in our case, sample scene or the level of which we want to load up, or you can pass the build index of it, which is as you seen, which is 0. Okay, so instead I'm gonna just pass in quotation the name of the scene. So we have to pass sample scene. Okay, sample scene, and then close that up with semicolon. Okay, control S to save your code and move to Unity. So so what we need to do right now, in this play button, we need to call that function. So just we have to hit this plus icon. Okay, so just wait, and when it's done, we need to do this thing. Okay, so I'm gonna drag this scene management game object in top of my hierarchy so I can see all the time. So just wait for to compile. It will take a few moments for compiling our script, and when it's done, just do the thing. So just wait. Okay, and now I'm gonna select this scene management game object. I'm gonna drag it top of my hierarchy so I can see all the time. Okay, so play button. So hit this plus icon. Okay, hit this plus icon, and we need to drag the game object right over here, in which game object the script is sitting on. So we do know in scene management script we attach the scene management script. So let's drag this game object right there, and it says no function. So let's click on that, and let's go over to scene management script or class, and then select that function, which is in our case play game. So let's choose this. Now if we hit this play button in the top and try to click this play button, we should able to see the game scene will be loaded up, or the level we want to load up. Okay, so just wait for to compile, and when it's done, now if I click on this play button, okay, as you can see, indeed our game scene loaded up, or the level which we want. Okay, so I hope you get the idea, and you can do the same thing for this quit button. You can make a function for quit. Okay, and I hope you get the idea how you can make samples, basically a simple menu scene, and do something with this button. Okay, so I hope you get the idea of it. And lastly, thanks for watching this video. Okay, goodbye.